Hey friends, it has been a hot minute, but I am getting ready to plant out my fourth round of seeds. I try and do these a little bit at a time all through the winter. One, I like having something to look forward to every week to plant with my seeds. Two, I don't want to get too excited and plant too much too early. So this is week 4. First, let's go back and look at all the things I planted weeks 1 through 3 and see how they're doing. Well, hello, Jack Frost, my little garden kitty, and Bella. So here is the very first tray that we planted. This is tray number 1. I still don't have any tarragon up. But there's the pretty cumin. Rosemary is up. The marjoram plants are up. All of the onions are up. Reminder, I've got yellow onions. These Ailsa Craig onions, which are a yellow sweet onion. And then I also have got some red onion. The celery is starting to come up. There it is. Right here, these single parsleys, not up yet. However, the 3 dark parsleys are up way better. Now, I wonder if this is something to do with the seed that I use. I'm going to check that seed packet, but it's good to note that that dark parsley variety I got came up very quickly. I've got some artichoke starts up. And then over in the corner, comfrey, not happening. But I do have a valerian right there and a little tiny valerian right there. So tray number 1, mostly successful. Nothing on the tarragon and nothing on the comfrey in the corners, but everything else looks good. Moving on to week 2, here is our first tray. And I want to show you guys something. I don't know if you can see this little guy right here, but these stupid little gnats, they're impossible. I'm not going to say they're impossible to keep out. There's a bunch of preventative things you can do, including going through and making all of your soil totally sanitized. But I don't bother with it that much. What they do is, oh, there's another one. They lay little larvae or eggs inside the soil, and then they come up and hatch, and then they go on somewhere else and they lay more. I will have these little gnat things in this grow room the whole season. However, I just try and keep them under control by killing them when I see them. You get those little yellow sticky traps too. All right, so eucalyptus is up. And I've got it up in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trays. Everybody's got at least one little guy up. Like I said, I get very poor germination and luck with eucalyptus, so I'm happy with that. Chives, my regular chives are just starting to come up, but my garlic chives look great. That could be a seed issue. I've got a couple of these bergamot lavender starting to come up. The red, oh, yep, there's a little baby right there. That back one doesn't have any. Back in the back, the lemon mint is up. And this mint mix, I don't know if you can see. Let me try and zoom in for you. There you go. See all those little tiny guys? Little babies. Now you're going to notice I'm getting a little bit of green mold on here. It's hard to regulate the level of moisture in these. What I try and do is water the tops with these smaller seeds especially, and then I bottom water. But it is a process. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm getting some spearmint up, just baby little spearmints. And then the Tulsi basil is up, you'll see right there. Back in the corner, I've got the Kelway golden chamomile and the Zlati chamomile. Those look fantastic. Thyme looks fantastic. Cilantro looks fantastic. And then we also did peanuts. These are the peanuts we planted week 2 along with that tray. And they are coming up. Aren't they fun? This is the slowest looking one, but the rest of them are doing okay. The year of the peanut experiment. We'll see. And week 3. This is what we planted last week, guys. And a lot of these are flowers. They might all be flowers. Let's check. I've got hollyhocks, not up yet. Bells of Ireland, not up yet. But the dandy dahlias and the blazing saddle dahlias, all up. Look at the fun color of these blazing saddle leaves. They get all purpley. They stay that way too. They're really, really pretty. In the back, I got salvia. I do have some salvia up. Hi. Those are the St. John salvia. This rose one, nothing. Ugh. And then I think over here is nothing. This is lobelia, delphinium, some columbine, some lupine. These are all perennial flowers, and they are taking their time. But we have some things going on, so we're going to take that as a mostly win, right? It's only a week. It's only a week. Okay, so I've got my trays set up over here. I don't know if you can tell, but I've got them in 6-packs. We'll take you there. I'm doing them in 6-packs this time, and I'm doing it because I'm doing cold hardy things, and these things, for the most part, whoops, hang on, let me settle you back down here. For the most part, these things are going to be outside quicker. They're not going to get as big. Sorry. Okay. They're not going to get as big as something like a pepper. So pepper, I'm going to start in the next week or two. Those are going to be in my house until mid-May. These things, cabbage, kale, cauliflower, Brussels, that kind of stuff, that is going to be outside, I'm hoping by April. So I've got, 2 weeks left of February, 4 weeks of March, 6 weeks before I can start watching temps. It's either going to be in my yard, planted, depending on the temps, or those containers will be out in my dad's greenhouse, or they'll be out in my porch with a little bit of a cover when it gets cold at night. Either way, these aren't going to live in here very long. They're going to be in the ground, getting nutrients way faster than something like a pepper or a tomato. Those I'm going to give a bigger cell so they can get a bigger root system, take in more nutrients, and do better in their pots until it's time for them to find their permanent home. So that's why I'm doing 6 cells here versus the 2-inch or the bigger 4-inch containers or the red solo cups. Okay, so one tray, I already went ahead and made my my tags. I'm doing beets in one, and with the beets I'm also doing cabbages, and I thought I had one more thing. I lost it. I'm doing butterfly milkweed too. Oh, it's right here. I forgot to put this in my other perennial tray that we did last week, and I want to try growing this from seed. So I threw in a 6-pack of that too. And then the other tray, that is a crazy mix of rutabaga, Swiss chards, kale, whoops, more kale, kohlrabi, mini broccoli, and cauliflower. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the varieties of each one that we're going to do. Okay, here's this first tray. We'll start over here. I'm going to do 12 of the Copenhagen Market cabbage. These are from M.I. Gardner. They're an heirloom. They did very well for me last year. I have not used any of mine for storing. I do use mine more for making sauerkraut, so I kind of preserve it. And I like how it holds up in the garden for a long time. I can pick it, or I can let it sit and pick one later on. It did really well holding up in the garden with nice, good, firm heads. Really liked this variety. And then I'm doing red acre cabbage. I got these as a seed exchange at my local library. You can find red acre cabbage everywhere. It's also a very good one that has a really good head on it. It's smaller, but I like to have a little bit of red acre cabbage. So I'm going to do 6 of those, 12 of those for cabbage. I'm also going to start some cabbage direct sown outside. Here's that butterfly milkweed I was talking about. I'm just going to do a 6-pack of this. This is from M.I. Gardner. Butterfly milkweed is not local to mine, so it says right here, other monarch butterflies prefer other milkweed like swamp milkweed. I do have swamp milkweed outside. However, I like this one with the color to it. I think it'll be really good for other beneficial insects as well as butterflies. So I'm going to try growing a little bit of that. And then the rest of this entire tray is beets. I have done beets in the past. I've successfully gotten a couple here and there. I'd like to get a crop together so I can make pickled beets. I've done this with some beets I've gotten from a farmer market, but I want to try it with my own. So I'm doing Detroit dark red beet because you cannot live in Michigan and not grow the Detroit beet. I'm doing 4 6-packs of that one. And then I'm doing the golden beet. And I'm going to do 12 of those. So 2 6-packs and then 2 6-packs. And this is the Chioggia beet. This is from Italy. It's an heirloom. And it's got this really pretty peppermint patty kind of look on the inside of it. And I thought the 3 of these put together in jars, pickled, would be beautiful. So that's why I'm choosing that. They're all good tasting varieties as well. Don't get me wrong. I didn't just pick the pretty one. But if they can be pretty and taste good, I think we're going to go with it. So that's the first tray I'm going to plant today. For the beets, I'm just doing 1 seed per cell. Beet seeds actually are multi-seed. See how they're kind of big like that? There's actually several little beets in there. So what will happen is that 1 beet seed, if you want to call it, will it'll create several beets kind of joined together a little bit. Now, I'm just going to do the 1 per cell here. And then when I get outside, I will plant these. And then I will also direct seed another row, just in case they do better direct seeded. I've only tried them direct seeded before. I've never tried starting beets inside successfully. I guess I've tried, but it didn't work very good. All right, let me finish the rest of these beets up. For the cabbages, I did plant 1 or 2 in each one of these cells. And what'll happen is some of them, the cell 2 will come up. In this cell, maybe none will come up. So I'll very carefully kind of just prick one of these out with a toothpick, pop it over here, and end up with a full 6-pack. So I just kind of give myself a little bit of insurance. If more come up, I can either clip them off at the base and just continue with 1 in each cell. You don't want more than 1 in a cell growing. Or I could prick one out and I could make a new 6-pack if I had 6 extra ones and make myself another 6-pack, which I probably won't do because I'm trying to stay in control this year. This is plenty of plants for me. Don't go overboard, Stephanie. And this is my variety for the second tray we're planting this week. We are going to start with kohlrabi. Kohlrabi I got as a free seed originally. This is early purple Vienna from Baker Seeds. And I really, really like it. It grows half underground, half above ground. This part does. I guess you could probably, the greens would probably be good. I have not ate the greens, but I have taken this and I've sliced it up kind of like a cabbage and made like a kohlrabi slaw with it. And my family likes that. I'm also going to do some Swiss chard. I'm going to do rainbow chard and bright lights chard. Here's my favorite thing about chard. It's a trap crop. Earwigs love my chard. When I put chard out in the garden, the earwigs all eat it like crazy. I rarely get to actually harvest this, although I have pickled like the pretty stems before. Or I feed it to the chickens because the earwigs just put holes all through these leaves. However, that means they leave the rest of my garden alone. And this is really pretty in the garden. So I like this as a trap crop. So I got 12 of those, 6 of each of these varieties. I've got 6 back here of the scarlet kale. I have got 6 here of the dwarf blue curled kale. I got 6 red Russian kale and 6 ornamental fringed kale. Kale does really well in my northern climate. Even when it gets warm, it still does okay, and then it lives almost all the way through the winter. I picked scarlet kale out of the yard last week in February and fed it to the rabbit. So it's pretty, it's colorful. I like it a lot. It does well in shady areas. This is that new mini broccoli that I bought. This is one of my 10 seeds I'm trying this year. It is called a hybrid mini broccoli. It's supposed to be good and not bolt, which I had a problem last year. All my broccoli bolted. It went from cold to warm too fast. This is the Purple of Sicily cauliflower I did last year. Gorgeous. Loved it. And then I'm also going to try rutabagas. This is another one of my top 10 seeds I'm going to try. The American Purple Top Rutabaga. And I'm going to try 6 of those. So here is my next tray. Again, like the cauliflower or like the cabbages, I'm going to go ahead and plant most of these 1 with a couple with 2. And if something doesn't come up, I can always slide it over and try and get a full 6-pack out of these. Okay, tray number 2, totally planted. So I've got 2 full trays planted for this week 4. So 2 trays, but it's week 4 of seed starting here for me in Michigan. I'm in 6A. You do not need to be starting all of these seeds this early if you don't want to. If you don't like seed starting, if you like gardening, you can direct sow almost everything that I just planted. Cabbage, the beets, rutabaga, all this. You can go ahead and direct sow this. I like to seed start, and I like to start with plants versus seeds when I'm out in the garden. Visually, I like to see where I'm putting things. I will direct sow more, or if these don't work, I'll direct sow. But because I like it, I go ahead and do it inside. Now these hopefully will live inside for about 6 weeks before they find their home. I guess we'll wait and see what happens because you never know with Mother Nature. Okay, so where does that leave us? We are 4 weeks into seed starting on my plan, and I have got I've got 6 trays planted. Looking forward, what do I got going? We're going to be doing some winter sowing. I have not done a very good job winter sowing. I could have started winter sowing back in January. You can start winter sowing at any point. It will still work. I'm still going to put stuff out, hopefully in the next coming week or two. So I've got some winter sowing I want to do. I also want to try a second method of winter sowing. I bought some plastic cloches. Those are the covers you can put over things outside. And last year my sister started some cabbage seeds in the ground right now. And she put a cloche over them, and then they just sprouted in the spring when they were ready, and they did really well. I want to try that too. So I'm going to try that plus the traditional milk jug winter sowing methods. Other things coming up next week, we're going to have to go ahead and get some more things started. I'm going to be looking ahead to peppers either next week or the week after. I want to get those going so I can get large, big pepper plants to put out when it's time. I have a sneaky suspicion spring's coming early this year, and I might say that every year, but this year I really feel it. So I'm going to get going on peppers in the next week or two. I'm also going to be taking a road trip over to my dad's house to look at his greenhouse and get things started in another week or two too. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more specific seed starting instructions, go back to my week 1 video. I do it into things a little bit more in depth, but here is where we're at now, week 4, mid-February, on our seed starting journey. All right. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you soon.